Hello and welcome to the Cryptonaut podcast. My name is Mark Storrs, and hanging out with me as always is
Rob Morphy.
Robert, thank you so much. And
Yes.
oh, Chris coming in.
Yeah, he is. Coming in hot.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it too.
Man.
Wow, really?
Dude,
Okay.
there it is.
I
I love
feel like I just announced my name.
Dude, you had a little
Yeah,
bit
but you brought some flavor.
Yeah,
No, it's
yeah.
true.
yeah. I'm just like, I'm Mark. He's like, I'm Rob. And you're like, so there
Yeah.
you go. Over the top.
Anyway,
Yeah.
It loses some of the magic when you explain it, but yeah,
It does.
it's still there.
It's okay, though. I mean, for the listeners at home, for those that are not watching
Yeah.
us on the $10 tier, if you're on the $10 tier, you can actually watch us.
Oh,
as
the
we
thrill.
do the podcast.
Yeah.
The thrill.
Yes,
it is.
Yeah.
I realized when I was editing how much I do the thing I'm actually doing right now.
What's
like
that?
I'm about to take a sip and I don't.
Yeah.
And we start talking.
Oh,
I'm just
really?
holding this here for like fucking 5 minutes.
You just
Sure.
hold your
without taking a
whiskey?
sip. Like I could just put it down and talk, but no.
No, you just hold it. That's
just like
great.
this.
You know, it's funny.
But it's just like I don't know, it's comfortable. I just don't think
mine
about
on the edge of the laptop
Yeah.
because that's super smart.
it. That's.
but I've definitely become a super hand talker.
I do too.
Yeah.
Like
I do
when
the
I'm
hands
narrating,
quite a
like
bit.
I'm almost like I'm conducting my own tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I still fuck it up.
When I do the intros, I'd use my hand to keep the pace.
Yeah.
when I'm reading.
Right
So-
on.
No, yeah.
But you can check that out at
Still
patreon.com/Cryptonaut
hold my bourbon.
podcast. $10 tier. Plus the $10 tier, you get those ad-free episodes.
Hell yeah, you
Are
do.
you tired of hearing the ads?
I am.
All right, well, join the $10 tier. You get every episode is ad-free.
Yeah.
Well, to a certain point in our
Ish.
catalog is
Yeah.
ad-free.
Sure.
The back stuff isn't, but there's a certain point that it cuts off. Regardless, we're here. We're doing it. The season is over, Robert, unfortunately, for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I know.
But that's okay because we live, we die, we rise,
Yes, you do.
and this is what we do.
Like a phoenix from the rusty ashes. You're going to do it.
The rusty ashes.
The
Well,
rusty
it's the
ashes.
Rust Belt. It's a very
Well-
industrialized,
Yes.
frozen hellhole.
Yes.
I
This
remember
is-
reading, I think I've mentioned this before. It was some guy from Texas. He was like a film professor, and he wrote a book about obscure movies, and it was an even more obscure books. And so, I bought it. But he was like, I had to drive like from Syracuse to Buffalo once, and it was like getting lost in Siberia with more rust, so you could get tetanitis at any turn or
Oh, God.
something to the effect of that.
I mean,
and I
how
was
if it's
like,
that
fucking
bad?
A, yeah.
Jesus.
No,
really?
I mean, it was in the middle of winter when I read it years ago, and I'm like, yeah, you nailed it.
That's from Syracuse to
Yeah.
Buffalo.
Yep.
I mean, did you take the throughway?
I don't know.
Because I
Yeah.
feel like that's
The
not.
throughway's
I mean,
really nice.
I never
Yeah.
spoke to him. I just
Yeah,
read it
all
and
right.
was amused.
Cool. Well,
Well, we're gonna have to have a talk.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not insulted by the Rust Belt moniker.
no,
We're
not at all.
a decaying industrial
Hell yeah.
tundra.
That's why we're here, baby.
That's
what
all
we
right.
do.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I mean, we're a little pocket of creativity amidst it, but I
There's-
love being a part of it.
You'd be surprised.
I am a part of our community.
There is plenty of pockets of creativity around here that we don't even know about.
Tons.
Yeah. We
Well,
should
the
have
internet helps.
have a little get together sometime, dude.
Oh my God.
With all
a
the
little,
other
little
creatives.
potluck.
A little potluck with the creatives.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
All right. On with the show.
Before we get started, Robert,
Yeah.
I have a quote that is going to
No.
lead us into the end of the Buffalo Bills season.
All right.
God.
Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
Wow.
This week, February 5th and 6th, Fathom Entertainment presents Hellraiser 4K Remastered
Yep.
Oh,
in
nice segue.
theaters near you.
I'm definitely going to see it.
The link will be in the description of this podcast. You can go there. You can look at your Fathom events, which is generally, I think, most theaters. I think every place.
I think
around
the
here
movie
is doing
tavern
it.
around here.
The movie
and-
tavern
and-
is, yes.
and
There's
the
a couple
mall.
other ones.
Yeah, yeah. So
So yeah, man, that is coming out this week on Wednesday and Thursday. So if you're looking to check out Hellraiser in 4K, go to your local theater, check it out. Let Big Cenobite know that your boys over at Cryptonaut Podcast sent you. Tell them, be like, hey, Pinhead, Chatterer,
Chatterbox,
the boys, they told me about this, and I'm here.
Butterball.
Yeah, and then hopefully if the box, yeah, you know about the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Uncle Frank bloody in the corner. No one wants to talk about that.
Nobody does.
No, it's
the
gross.
nail in the hand.
Arguably
Arguably one of the most gruesome parts of that movie, as pedestrian as it
it's
was.
fucking
yeah,
awful.
that was awful.
I mean,
It was
seeing this in 4K, I'm not trying to oversell it, but it is such a dingy movie. Like I saw it when it first came out in our local theater, and it was already kind of murky and beat by then. It's practically antiquated now. And that was kind of a good way to watch it.
Yeah.
But to see it like in Ultra 4K, you're going to see like the dust bunnies.
Dude.
You're going to see like the little
Yeah.
wrinkles in
Like-
the eyes of the Cenobites.
Uncle Frank in his white suit in 4K, all
bloodied up.
It just
Yeah.
seems it's a shiny. You're like, oh, that's just so
Yeah,
gross.
the sheen is really the worst part.
Yeah, dude, it's
And when he's coming out of that puddle, when he's all fucking muck and shit.
Oh,
yeah.
It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
a skeleton screaming.
yeah. This is how you sell a movie, right here. Is
Fuck
what
yeah.
we're doing right now. Letting the kids out there know, and the other folks go check it out. Hellraiser
Oh,
in
yeah.
theaters near you, February 5th and 6th. This week, The God Possession Part 1, A Dark Journey.
Hell yeah.
Multi-parter.
Two-parter.
Okay,
I mean,
we're
I've
gonna call
guaranteed
two?
it, and I've been wrong every time, but this time I can't possibly see,
Okay.
unless, of course, Cole Harold, who's been helping me out, and I'll be giving a shout out because he's fucking invaluable.
Oh, he's the best.
If he turns up an extraordinary amount of additional information that I cannot foresee, then there might be a third part.
Okay,
I'm
well,
not planning on that,
we're gonna play this by ear, as they say.
but I am going to extol his virtues pretty soon in the context of the body of this piece. It is a fascinating piece, though, and I'll talk all about how I stumbled across it, but I've been super intrigued, and I'm very delighted that we have somebody like Cole that can really help us flesh these things out.
Yeah.
And this is going to be really fun, I think.
All right, well, without further ado, let's get started with, while on a trip to the Holy Land in 1967, an affluent executive claimed to have been attacked and subjugated by a raging god-like force. This life-altering experience would send this semi-possessed man spiraling into a dark void of secret missions, animate UFOs, magical powers, and a confrontation with some of the most revered names in Western religion.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, this sounds like it's going in all the places that I love.
I think you will definitely be satisfied.
Okay, awesome.
This is
man.
an
Or at least
anime I would
intrigued.
watch.
Oh, yeah. This
Oh,
is
dude, for
100%. 100%.
For sure. All right, Robert. Well, let's get started.
Since the dawn of self-awareness, there has been a deep-rooted fear of falling victim to possession. Be it a demon or regional deity, a dead loved one, or the devil himself, people have lived in horror of having their psyche supplanted by an oft-times nefarious, non-human intelligence. You like that drop?
I like
It can
that.
be a demon, too.
Hell yeah, bro.
Whose intentions can range from the obliteration of a single soul to wreaking havoc on as many lives as humanly possible. All while the victim watches helpless, trapped inside their own often bloodied, blistered, and bruised bodies like a prisoner whose only hope of escape is quite literally divine intervention.
Oh.
Ever since I was a boy who was mired 6 days a week in Catholic doctrine, be it at parochial school or an altar boy every Sunday, something Chris can definitely identify with, one question which has always nagged at me was, why is it that possession seems to be a one-way street wherein evil entities are constantly attempting to corrupt innocent souls, and it's never about angels possessing, say, serial killers and forcing them to go volunteer at a soup kitchen?
No, yes, it's two samesies. I'm just why?
Yeah, you know, I never thought about
Yeah.
that. That thought never crossed my mind until now. And now that, why don't angels possess people to do nice stuff?
Especially,
I just assumed it was like
Pure-
a rule.
I feel like
scum.
I just had a life-changing moment.
there you go.
I never thought about that.
Right on.
Yeah, what's up with
Yahweh's
that?
got some weird rules though.
Yeah,
I just
see,
have
that's
to-
the thing is,
you
I
have to
don't-
just be like, no, you can't do that.
I don't
Right,
know
right.
I don't understand the rules.
I'll
Nobody does.
be
No.
explained. I don't
okay.
understand them all, but I'll explain them as I understand them.
Excellent, cool.
Right now. But yeah, that's a fucking problem. And indeed, just to reiterate, why is it that so-called good beings never seem to possess evil people? I suppose most theologians will say that this is because God advocates for free will and wants us to try and trudge through and somehow survive this often beautiful, sometimes tragic, and always sin-laden life through naught but faith, willpower, and of course, good old-fashioned moxie. And maybe that's true. And God chooses to let us stand, fall, suffer, and rejoice on our own terms with only blind faith as a crutch. It all sounds fine on paper. Well, not really, but I get it.
Well,
it works on
yes.
paper. But there's always someone, or more accurately, something out there ready to throw a monkey dick into the works of even the most well-oiled machine. To that end, today we present the exception to the rule. A little-known case wherein a man known only as Jean claimed to have been possessed by an all-consuming holy force that was so overwhelming he was convinced that it must have been God himself. If, as many ancient astronaut advocates so passionately attest, in the bulk of antediluvian religious scripture, there are no fundamentally divine nor diabolical beings, only races whose goals either align with or against humanity. Beings who, due to their outwardly exotic appearances and hyper-advanced technology, were mistaken for ethereal entities, then the harrowing case of Jean and his interactions with what he took to be a host of bizarrely beatific beings would seem to have been cut whole cloth from a fabric designed just for them. Those of a more theological bent, however, may have to adjust their preconceived notions as to the traditional appearance of their biblical heroes, which, by the way, as a matter of fact, probably should be done in the Western world anyway, because they're from the fucking Middle East. And that ought to be reflected in the whole Bible's Swedish population, at least in terms of the paintings I grew up with.
Yeah.
Are you saying that all my velvet paintings of white Jesus aren't correct?
They are not correct, sir.
Tell me?
No, his kinks aren't there. None of the fun.
I've got all my really cool statues that I've been collecting.
Oh, I love your collection.
Dude, it's getting to a ridiculous
It's
level.
getting cultish.
I love the art, and they're very cheap, and I really do like them.
Dude,
It reminds
iconography
me
is
of my
fun.
childhood. Yeah.
Well, me too,
Yeah.
obviously. I love the
I love it, dude.
iconography. I've always loved symbolic images.
Yeah, man. I'm just collecting more stuff. Now I'm on to religious artifacts.
But in fact,
One day, the Shroud of Turin.
Good luck.
Probably one on Temu for like $4.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got to get like a beach towel, Turin, put it up in glass.
The beach towel of Turin.
Oh, my
That's
God.
great.
Okay. I stumbled across this strange saga while researching another case on ufology, on the ufology site, UFOinsight.com. And finding only a short version of the events, tasked our man in the Fortean trenches, the gallant and exceedingly thorough supranormal scholar Cole Harold, aforementioned and always beloved, with digging into this account, and within moments, literally, like not 10 minutes later, he not only managed to unearth this little-known case, which was enshrined in an obscure 1977 issue of the French ufology journal Flying Saucers Review, not to be confused with Britain's more famous Flying Saucer singular review.
Oh, that's a marketing move, France.
That's absolutely.
Yeah. What is it in French? Flying is
like Volaris Scoupon. I can't say it. I can't say anything.
Yeah.
But in just days,
Coupon.
literally days from finding it, he sent me his translation of the article, which he had to hand fucking type in, by the way. So good on him.
Damn, dude.
Which, to my delight, contained scads of information not found in the encapsulated synopsis of this truly curious case. Now, at this point, I'm going to put a little disclaimer out there. I feel compelled to say, in defense of Cole's work and my subsequent modifications, which are many, that neither one of us speak French. So if anyone with the mastery of the language reads the source material and calls BS on any element of the translation that we may have gotten wrong, feel free to let me know. But honestly, for the most part, I think we nailed it. I mean, we got the gist of it, but there might be some weird shit about his personal life that gets a little lost in translation, but we got the book. And, if we have to do an addendum down the line, all the better.
Oh,
by the way, I want to throw a little hint out there.
What's that?
Little in the addendum world, we've been to Loveland again. We've been to Veggie Man territory again.
Okay.
You know who we might be visiting again?
Who's that?
Stumps.
Ooh. Oh, yes. I saw this.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this on Instagram. Yeah. I was like, oh.
If anyone follows Cole Harold,
dang.
you would have seen an interesting image
of
the protagonist of that saga. And he's unearthing people that may have been directly involved, as well as other articles that have not been exploited.
Thank God for Cole Harold.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
Honestly. So anyway, let us know if you are a French-speaking person who reads this. And
they'll leave comments.
Yeah. Please. According to issue 2, again, of the 1977 journal Flying Saucers Review, edited by Michael Moutet. I've been saying his name Moutet all day, and then I fucking Googled it, and so now I know it's Moutet.
Moutet.
Who is the presumed author of the piece. This curious case began sometime in 1967, not long after the pseudonymous, I think I said that right, Jean arrived in Israel on holiday. But before I begin, I think it appropriate to let the words of Michael Moutet speak for themselves by way of an intro. Quote, "The narrative that will follow will certainly disturb the reader and will probably annoy the rationalists. But we think that ufologists will be less critical, accustomed as they are to aberrant testimonies. So we have taken to faithfully transcribe the narrative of our friend in spite of its length and improbabilities, for it is important for the analysis that will follow."
I like how he gives a little intro there. It's important.
Yeah,
He's like,
I like it too.
and it kind of sounds like he's getting ready to intro us. He's like, it's going to annoy you if you're irrational.
Yeah. Oh, no. That's why I loved every bit of it, because that completely covers all the shit we do. Absolutely.
Oh, dude, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Jean was a successful business and family man, likely of some renown, who had even chronicled his adventures in Amazonia in a published book. Though information is scant, it seems as if the bulk of Jean's wealth stemmed less from his writing career and more from his then current occupation as a manager of classic vehicles used in France's celebrated Mougève Saint-Tropez rally, again, forgive all the pronunciations, which begins in the ski resort village of Mougève and runs some 560 miles through scenic passes in both the French and Italian Alps before finally coming to a close in Saint-Tropez, a coastal city on the French Riviera. James Bond would slap me with his balls so hard. Known for its stunning beaches
Seems
and
aggressive.
luxurious lifestyle. He's an aggressive man.
Seems aggressive.
He kills for a living.
So this guy,
Yeah.
like, he manages race cars.
So here's part of the
Kind of cool.
Here's the issue.
I
He
want
was
to manage race cars.
the manager of boxes for things between
manager of box.
Mougève and Saint Tropez, and Cole again. Fucking the wonders of Cole, digging deeper and deeper. He's like, it's not box cars. I thought maybe it was condos or apartments. He figured out that was a reference for the race cars that were used in the sort of scenic tour. I mean, it must be beautiful, the French and Italian Alps. So he figured out, and it's the best guess we have right now.
Right.
So I'm going to even throw it out. I'm glad I just said it because I'm not 100% sure this is accurate, but it really seems like this is how he was making his living.
It's kind of cool, man.
It's super dope.
Yeah, I want to manage race cars.
I mean, it doesn't really change the paranormal aspects of the case, but
No, but
we
it's
always strive
it's good to
for
get
excellence.
it's also good to get a grasp of like what this person is, what they do,
Context.
for a career. Yeah, no, it's just kind of
Context always
Yeah,
helps.
it's good to know.
Absolutely.
See what kind of experiences that they're coming from.
Here it is.
Race car drivers.
Now we're about to get into it.
Okay.
Once he arrived in Jerusalem, Jean, who by all indications was not a man of great faith, decided to at least visit the sites that had, in antiquity, allegedly played host to some of the most profound events in human history. It was as he and a crowd of other tourists were making their way through the actual locations that paid homage to the Stations of the Cross that Jean was, to borrow a phrase from the official report on Russia's infamous Dyatlov Pass incident, struck by an unknown compelling force.
Ooh.
Gets hit pretty hard. To quote Mute, if I say it wrong, if I say Mute, forgive me. The sky fell on his head and he was suddenly seized, end quote. To those near him, it must have looked as if John was caught in the throes of a grand mal seizure, his face and body contorting in a rictus of agony. But what was going on inside his psyche was a torment of a very different sort, and originating from a source that most would not suspect. I say most, as religious scholars know all too well the excruciating anguish endured by many of those who claim to have been touched by the divine, and especially those who've endeavored to resist the call. For his part, Jean claimed that inside his head was a booming voice, the sound of which was so all-encompassing and coercive that it was literally that of God, or if not, must have been at least a near Yahweh caliber deity. So it's big, it's loud, and it's fucking influential.
Oh boy.
Mute wrote, the entity expressed himself with authority to his mental ear and ordered Jean to be his slave. Paralyzed in the limbs, our contactee tried in vain to resist by refusing, end quote. It turns out that was a bad call. Not taking no for an answer, the quote-unquote invisible entity hit Gene like a bull, knocking him to the ground, then thrusting his face into the dirt and gravel with such ferocity that he fainted either from fear, a lack of oxygen, or a combination of both.
Man, the hand of God coming down, baby.
But bam!
Well, hand of something.
Oh, man, hand of something.
I mean-
Whew.
No, Chris is not wrong.
Dare I say, show me how the gods kill.
Oh, boy.
Oh, Danzig reference number 1.
Nicely
there will be
done.
more.
I'm sure.
I can't wait.
Will be more. Chris is disappointed.
The astonished group surrounding the now immobile Jean likely feared that he'd been struck by a sudden, savage heart attack and died. But those who leaned in to see if he was breathing were startled when his eyes popped open and he took a sudden, gasping breath. John might not have been dead, but from that moment on, he would be a very different man. What precisely happened in those next crucial moments went unwritten. He was presumably taken to a doctor or some sort of medical authority who attempted to ascertain what was wrong. Or maybe Jean refused any help whatsoever and went on his own way, shaken and confused. We don't know. What we do know, however, is that the almost certainly mortified victim found, etched into each of his palms and the soles of his feet, a very unique form of stigmata, a 7-branched candlestick, or menorah, a historic symbol of Judaism that's been used for centuries, if not millennia.
Huh, okay.
Yeah. So, interesting. I'm not an expert on stigmata. I don't know how often that happens.
I mean, the menorah stigmata changes it up.
Does change it up.
Yeah.
Well, also because
Little
that's
bloody candles.
not strictly speaking Christianity. Obviously, the ties between Christianity and Judaism are myriad, essential.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
One cannot exist
I mean, normally
without the
it's
other.
just a wound, not
It's just the wound.
Yeah, just
because
from
they're
the-
supposed to emulate
the
wounds,
the crucifixion.
or
Yeah.
at least the presumed, because obviously it would have technically happened in the wrist.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
But regardless.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, stigmata is, I think, a paranormal thing in that when it really does happen, it is faith bringing on some crazy manifestation.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's necessarily accurately reflecting how Romans crucified people, because a lot of times they were just tied to axes. And if all of a sudden
Yeah.
you got rope burns, it'd be like, fuck, stigmata.
Yeah.
Rope burns.
So anyway,
All right.
but the menorah adds an interesting
Yeah, that's a weird
twist
symbolism
to it.
there. Okay, cool. I like it.
Mute goes on to say, quote, "From that day on, our contactee no longer had his free will," end quote. Unlike other biblical figures who are charged by God to perform a certain task and essentially given a free hand to go about it, Jean found himself a man trapped within a mind and body that were no longer exclusively his own. He was not given specific instructions to set about under his own recognizance. Rather, he would enjoy brief moments of self-control before receiving a fresh set of orders from above, whereupon he would suffer long spates of being a mere passenger in his own psyche. Sometimes it seems he blacked out, while other times he sat powerless, watching through the eyes of the stranger that was himself as it performed all sorts of actions over which he had no control, which sounds like fucking hell.
It sounds like Ghost Rider.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
really
actually it
what it sounds
does.
like.
Yeah, honestly, you're the fucking spirit of
That's
vengeance.
interesting. Or to a much lesser degree, like the professor that used to be stuck inside the teenage kid in Firestorm. Except he always seemed to be a floating happy head, but
Oh,
the
yeah,
psyche
yeah,
was
yeah.
essentially trapped inside
Yeah.
the
Oh,
mind.
yeah.
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 That's true.
But this is going to go on for a while, and
Okay.
it just does not seem pleasant at all.
No, that's a bummer.
Mute wrote, "In a state of disassociation of the personality, the ruling force dictated to Jean his deeds and gestures. For 3 years, many adventures, more or less grotesque,
Ooh.
turned his life upside down," end quote.
Oh no.
Long fucking time.
Grotesque.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's part of the translation,
Okay. All right.
but I mean,
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that I guess that could mean not as frankly grotesque as,
I mean,
as you
sure.
think. It could
not
just
like
be
a serial killer or anything.
well, it doesn't
right?
necessarily mean it's fucking Cronenbergian.
You're right. That's what
yeah,
I mean.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Got like a necklace of ears or something.
I
a
mean-
nipple belt.
Okay.
Ed Gein style.
I don't know if he killed anyone or not,
Okay.
but all right, well, I'll
Well,
just
yeah.
continue.
Yeah, you're right. You're,
Right.
Yeah, okay. Hey, boy.
Yeah,
Hey, no, you
it's problematic.
Okay.
Okay. But trapped though he was, it was not as if Jean was kept totally in the dark, as, according to his own writings, he was learning bit by bit not only the essence of his mission regarding the fate of humanity, but by extension, his own role in it. It's going to get big. Unfortunately, this portion of the story, a story no doubt filled with secret operations, colorful characters, and high-octane incidents, all punctuated with epic moments of high strangeness, almost as if his exploits were culled from a book co-authored by Ian Fleming and John Keel, is a story that no longer exists, at least in the public forum. Even more frustratingly, this extraordinary part of his personal odyssey was actually put to paper by Jean while in Japan. He then forwarded his message to various religious leaders as well as to the U.S. ambassador to France, but it has evidently not been preserved for mere Fortean aficionados. So I don't know where a copy is. Somebody somewhere might have one. I would love to know what he talks about.
So just missing 3 years of grotesquerie.
And big adventures. I mean, obviously, I'm blowing them all out of proportion in my imagination.
Well,
but
yeah, you could use a word like grotesque, and for us, it means like.
Well,
Yeah,
when he's sending a
fucking
dossier
Cannibal Holocaust.
to, yeah, right. Seriously, when he's sending his dossier to, religious leaders and whatever government
Ambassadors,
officials,
yeah.
they're going to be real excited to open this up. Like, who's Jean? What's he doing?
What's he doing?
Oh,
How exciting.
Some grotesquerie.
It's funny you bring that up,
Oh,
because we'll be getting to this.
I didn't know this.
As to how Jean's correspondence was received, he later wrote, quote, "Naturally, I was taken for a madman and an imposter."
Well,
But in all fairness to those officials on the receiving end Jean's letters tended to include passages depicting Lovecraftian entities who were unable to walk the earth with what one might generously describe as poetic flourish. For example, and this is me reading from one of Jean's letters.
I love this.
Radarized. Shit. Yeah, no, it's the right word.
Yeah.
Radarized. 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 All right, let me get back into Jean.
Here you go, Jean.
Because it's not a word and it fucked me up. Radarized. Electromagnetic fields, the 7 genes of eternal life, out of our sun, drained of our blood, endowed with divine powers. He thinks, lives, and acts. Nuclear fission, disintegration, transmutation, satellitization.
Oh, no.
Speed, rotation, and permutation. Eternal life is the man of science fiction. Its power equals 10,000 megatons. Its height 3 meters. Its weight 1 ton. His wisdom blends with his intelligence. His knowledge is a well. Have you seen it? No. It's impossible. The land of men is forbidden to him. He lives on the stars, far from our Bibles and our beliefs. This is not a myth. To believe or not believe, choose. Signed, apparently in all caps, Jean.
Dude, he just pulled
Well, you
off.
can't just send that to people.
Like,
If you want to be
Listen,
taken seriously. Like,
unless you're Captain fucking Beefheart, okay, that's a Beefheart song.
Oh,
for
absolutely.
Sure. But like, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, if I was to receive that, which actually we've gotten emails, sort of similar,
pretty fun. Yeah.
Some fun time emails. But man, that's like.
This is like
he has a poetic stance to it.
This is double down like Jeff the Mongoose type shit.
He's satellization.
No, right.
Radarization. Why am I fucking up that word that doesn't exist? Yeah, no, it's amazing. And he's talking about the thing that can't come to Earth. 3 ton, what is it? Yeah, fucking 3 meters, 1 ton,
but
10,000 megatons,
yeah,
which is awesome.
Dude.
Because then he's like fucking atomic warrior. Fucking, he's Iron Man. Fucking Black Sabbath could have fucking, well, they weren't that
3 meters.
trippy. But anyway.
I mean, Sabbath gets trippy, but dude, again, this guy went full psychedelic Lovecraft.
So I guess it makes sense why he was, what do you call himself? Naturally, I was taken for a madman and an imposter.
No, this is a tough one to open up.
Yeah, no,
John,
I mean, I have a hard time incriminating the officials. Not that the ambassador ever read it. Like the low end fucking, intern.
If you're an intern and you read this, you're like, yo, you got to check this out.
Oh, yeah, you pass it around the office.
Great.
And I'd be fascinated.
Oh, this is phenomenal.
In the late 60s, like a legitimate, ambassador's office, they're going to be like, fuck
no,
this.
well, yeah.
Back then, it's probably way cooler.
Well, yeah,
Like,
because it's even more madness inducing.
Dude, this guy sounds cool.
Though we might not know the specifics of the exploits that stole the better part of 3 years from his life and took him unwillingly, it is presumed, to the four corners of the globe, what we do know is that he spent time both homeless and imprisoned, and that by 1970, these events had taken a brutal toll on this formerly influential man's existence. It was that year that the company he'd worked for finally forced him to resign, which fucking wow. You must have been beloved if it took, and I mean, he was well-to-do, so he has some money in the bank.
I mean, but if you're managing the race cars and you're like, the megaton radarization of the stalactite, if you're going on this mad rant, you got to be like, dude, John's having a moment. Let's let him get it out of his system, go on some sort of spiritual journey, talk to the old gods. And now you're like, dude, you can no longer manage these race cars, good sir. They need attention that you cannot provide them. For you are on a path.
That's fair.
Apparently to prison. Or homelessness, one of the two.
Well, both. And probably multiple times.
Yeah.
Amongst God knows what other adventures.
Yeah. Well, maybe his job will be there for him one day.
Yep. Well, no. Let me just spoil that right now.
Damn it. Come on.
He is not going to work again for that company.
He releases the God entity and goes back to managing race cars.
And worse yet, despite the fact that in his few moments of lucidity, Jean likely pleaded for his loved ones to understand the hell he was going through and perhaps even tried to explain why he left them so often, which likely only exacerbated their concern. After years of what must have been constant worry, uncertainty, and sorrow, Jean's family finally gave up all hope for his recovery and abandoned their husband, father, and former breadwinner to his own devices and the forces he claimed were controlling him. So in 1970, I mean, it couldn't have been easy. Even if he had like rational moments, even if he was trying to go to work, even if he was trying to be a good dad and husband, when you are going everywhere across the globe and you're, believing
that's a tough
these
one,
things,
man. Unfortunately, it's a tough one.
I mean, I don't say I blame his family. I mean, 3 years is a long time, but on the other hand, man, that's tough.
Yeah. I mean, you know.
Now utterly alone, the internal entity's roaring voice gave Jean no chance to mourn the loss of his family and former life, and once again decreed that his mission must be completed. This is how Jean, after temporarily losing his senses, woke to once again find himself in control. Looking around, he realized that he was on a plane in flight.
Oh, boy.
It's got to be startling.
Yeah.
With just a little questioning, perhaps to a very confused fellow passenger or flight attendant, Jean found out that he was traveling to Miyajima, a small island also known as Itsukushima in Hiroshima Bay, nestled in the southern end of Japan. He's taking this to Japan.
Oh, yeah?
Which is why I cannot believe this isn't already a fucking a comic, a cartoon, a movie.
Yeah, something.
The whole nine, an anime.
I want to see a manga and an anime for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, give me a series.
In one of his rare moments of self-control, Jean made his way to one of the small island's villages and secured himself a room in a local hotel. Once there, he began meditating and, quote, studying transcendence as he had been instructed to do in preparation for the trials to come. At this point, we refer to correspondence that Jean apparently had with a French ufology group known only as HEPTA. That's HEPTA. Now, for those in the know, this is not to be confused with the Spanish Paranormal Investigation Group of the same acronym, founded over a decade later in 1987 by one Father Pilon. So there was a priest and his fucking crack team of paranormal investigators that went out in the 80s and 90s looking up this shit. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Probably some great stories. That is not this group.
Okay.
I don't know what either acronym stands for, to be honest. I mean, the Google didn't help.
Yeah,
So,
no.
and Cole couldn't find it.
HEPTA.
But maybe by next week we'll know.
It's
Not that
crazy
it's
they have the
super
same
important.
acronym, though.
Yeah. And it's a Spanish group and a French group. The words are probably completely different. There's just no way of knowing.
Yeah.
Okay. Found my spot. So he was corresponding with this French ufology group, HEPTA, and the experiencer detailed the next phase of his odyssey himself. So now we're using not Moutet's, but Jean's own words. As I bent over my desk, comfortably seated in the Japanese style in the hotel of a small village on the island of Miyajima, where I studied transcendence outside of time.
Ooh.
I received an order from the entity who said, Jean, get ready, pack your bags. You are heading to Hokkaido because you have an appointment with your brother, your counterpart from another terrestrial life cycle.
Oh no, the brother you didn't know.
Brother from another mother from
Ooh.
space.
Is this like Undertaker and Kane?
Mm-hmm.
Where he's like, Kane, you started the fire that killed everybody, and the Undertaker's like, I won't have it.
I never followed that mythology, but yeah.
You guys don't know whole brothers, Kane?
No,
and
I
you
Undertaker?
remember- yes,
I remember when
I
they
lived it.
pretended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But I
I
mean,
lived
They
it.
pretended.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I remember when they were clearly dealing with family issues in a public
Why do
forum.
you think Kane wore the mask, which later took it off? And I want to talk about it.
I really wasn't watching wrestling much then.
He
but
was grotesque,
yes, and delightful
At the time.
at it.
and then he was fine.
Anyway.
Yeah, then he was okay.
Okay, may I?
Please.
Thanks. Knowing he had no choice in the matter, and likely excited by the prospect of meeting his equivalent from another realm, Jean claimed that he simply surrendered himself to the seemingly omniscient entity's whim and began the long, nearly 1,200-mile journey north to Japan's second largest island and northernmost prefecture, Hokkaido. Of his travels, Jean wrote, it was a long trip because Miyajima is located in the south of Japan near Hiroshima, while traveling by train and boat, I accused the change of climate between the south and the north for giving me a head cold, as southern Japan has a climate similar to that of Côte d'Azur, which I think is on the French Mediterranean coast,
Okay.
while the north near Sakhalin, I don't know, I never say it right, the Russian island that's right up there.
Okay.
I'll let you guess. So he's still pithy and sarcastic in his correspondence, even after all of this.
I mean, the it's tough, man. It's not easy for any of us.
you know, he's going through enough shit and he gets a head cold.
It sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, on your way to see your brother from another terrestrial life cycle.
That's
I mean,
right.
come on, dude.
I mean, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Family
I
reunion.
suppose.
Yeah, or
Whatever
it's
that
going to
means,
be
really.
really awkward when you're like, BT dubs, we're brothers.
It's weird.
Not from the same mom, from the same terrestrial life cycle.
Mm. But the same cosmic father?
I don't know.
Mother, father, trans.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows what they really mean?
I don't know. Well, he transcends time and space.
Yeah.
So anything's possible.
Okay.
There you go.
He's on his way to Hokkaido.
There.
Once there, it seems that Jean was again given autonomy over his body, but given strict instructions to follow. So, like, for the first time, it seems, he's not just on fucking, sitting back on autopilot. He's
Yeah, there's a dual
doing-
thing going
Yeah.
on.
Okay, cool.
So he wrote, when I arrived in Hokkaido, I settled in a hotel located at the foot of the mountain where the Olympic competitions were scheduled to be held in Sapporo. For the record, the 1972 Winter Olympics, which would be a couple years after, would be held at Mount Tieni? Chris, maybe you can help me with that
I
pronunciation.
cannot.
And Mount Enawa in Sapporo, Japan, between February 3rd and the 13th, 1972. Jean continued. I was on foot, and according to the order received every day during the course of weeks, I climbed the mountain to the summit where stood the transmitters of 2 Japanese television channels. Up there, I would wait for several hours, feet buried in the slush, and I still could see nothing. I stared at the sky desperately because I knew that my brother would come from heaven. But how? When? I didn't know. But obediently, under orders, I climbed for hours each day in order to reach the place of my meeting with the emissaries of the afterlife.
Oh, so this isn't like an actual physical person. He has to go to the top of the mountain with the radio towers to be like, come from above.
Right.
That's a bummer.
And ain't this the bitch? Because all the other times, they're just fucking doing shit and you're sitting back.
yeah.
The one time you got to climb a mountain every fucking day.
Yeah, no, he's
Yeah.
been kind of like on the ride. Now he's like just front and center. That's a
And you got to
bummer.
do the hard work and your feet are freezing and
This
you're
seems
miserable.
Like, I don't know. This seems like it's really complicated, overly complicated.
Well, isn't
maybe?
that the way it is
I mean,
Yeah.
with
no, I
our
know.
space brothers and sisters? Because
I get it.
they're always like, you think, all right, this is ostensibly originating from the divine.
Right.
You would think they would know, unlike, say, cable. When a cable guy's coming, You have a window of like 11 hours usually.
Right.
This is supposed to be the creator of everything. You think they'd be able to be like, yeah, be there at 3:57 p.m. on this
time.
day.
You know why?
You know what? I'll teleport you there.
They're not using Talpa time.
Oh, yeah.
That's
why.
right. We've recently implemented Talpa time.
And it's been working like a
It's been
charm.
working great.
2 weeks and going.
There you go.
Yeah, exciting.
There it is.
You're right. They weren't. But aliens are dicks.
Yeah.
Or any
they-
ethereal beings.
non-human intelligences, they toy with you.
Really. I mean, talk to John Kill, talk to Brad Steger, talk
Dude.
to anybody who went deep enough.
John Edmonds.
They all came to the conclusion that these guys are fucking psychedelic pricks who are just fucking with you.
Dude.
And sometimes, like, horrifically.
Mechanical elves. Yeah.
One of these days.
Think about it.
One of these days.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The brutal and seemingly fruitless ritual went on week after week. Long time. Until finally the weather broke, which, based on meteorological data, which basically means I Googled it, seems to indicate that the time was sometime in early to mid-March. That's when spring comes to Hokkaido, give or take. Jean continued his account. One day, on a beautiful spring morning, after the snow had completely disappeared from the summits, I stared at a sky, of blue, free from clouds, when suddenly, to my great astonishment, I could see a spot, only as big as a fly, which seemed to be located 10 meters, or about 32 feet, from the place that I occupied. So the tiny baby fly 30 feet away. I don't know if you can see a fly from 30 feet, but this is not a fly, obviously.
Yeah, no, just a little dot, a little something on the horizon. I mean, hey, when you're up there for that long, standing in slush, waiting to talk to your terrestrial life cycle brother or whatever, if you see anything, you're like, whew, thank God.
Yeah, this is it. No, this is the time.
You're like locked in. Like, bring me home, Yahweh.
Run to the fly.
Yeah, run to the fly. There you go.
Yes.
Moses, take the wheel.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Jean stared in frank astonishment as the strange speck, which, in defiance of all known laws of physics, seemed to swell, distort, and distend until it suddenly erupted into our reality at its full height of nearly 6 stories. So, fly to 6.
Okay.
The thing hovered above the ground until, as Jean wrote, the ship landed a few meters from me as delicately as a butterfly. I felt no breath of air and heard an almost inaudible sound that made me think of the nozzle of a jet, but 1,000 times less strong. I guess air jet? I'm not sure what he means by that.
Weird.
But it was 1,000 times less. So
Okay.
pretty little. Whisper.
Okay.
Yeah.
The eyewitness went on to describe the now looming object as a squat, chunky, basically cigar-shaped craft that stood nearly 50 feet in diameter, or excuse me. I transposed this when I wrote it. That stood roughly 85 feet tall and was almost 50 feet in diameter.
Oh, gotcha.
So
gotcha.
it's a thicker. Like, that's only a 35-foot difference.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's cigar, but it's like a
Right,
fatty. It's like a
dude.
fatty boombaladdy.
I like it, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's packed.
Just the-
That's a blunt. You're getting fucking high as shit.
You're just wasting a bunch of weed.
You're wasting a bunch of weed.
All you're
yes,
doing.
it goes without
It's
saying.
literally all you're doing.
Well, yeah, that's true. But we're not here to judge that.
No.
We're just saying.
No, she's thick. I like it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. The strange spaceship, that's a quote, was supported by 4 base structures that Jean took to be motors. But the elements that caught his eyes the most were the dazzling, almost prismatic reflections that prevented him from reading an inscription written in gold letters on the shiny metallic surface of the ship. Jean would describe the undecipherable letters as looking like a crazy combination of Cyrillic and Greek alphabets. That's Russian and Greek. In fact, the only symbol he seemed to recognize was the 24th letter of the Greek alphabet, omega. So the old little horseshoe upside down.
Yeah.
Then, just as Jean was noting the lack of windows or doors, a gigantic opening suddenly emerged from the formerly smooth shell of the vexatious vessel, and from it a ladder automatically descended to the ground. Then, without warning, a voice inside his head, different from the one that had been controlling him over the past 3 years, invited Jean to enter the craft. So now he's got a new buddy, new brain buddy.
See, this is how it starts, man. You got one guy for 3 years. I was like, yeah, hey, man, just
Pass
going to
on.
the craft. You're like, who are you?
Got a new parole officer.
Who are you? Where'd the old guy go?
Mm.
Where'd the old head voice go?
Yeah.
Man.
Well, Larry, let's not be too quick to judge. Hey, listen, we were all upset when Eccleston left and Tennant became, but wasn't he a great Doctor Who?
Yeah.
So let's not prejudge.
You know, I'm dealing with a lot of things right now.
I understand.
I don't need to bring that up.
No, you're doing all right.
I'm currently living in eternal pain.
I'm super proud of you.
Thank
You're
you.
a trooper.
Chris sent me a text message last night, and he was like, "You have to go to work," and I was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, I'm going
right.
to work."
Because earlier on, he told me, he was like, I'm gonna call in. I'm like, you gotta go to work.
It was going to be drunk happiness or drunk sadness.
Yeah.
And this morning, I pulled myself up on my goddamn bootstraps, put on my Buffalo Bills gear, and said, "I'm going to work. Not today."
Good for
I mean,
you.
today I'm going to work.
No, I appreciate it.
I'm not pulling this today.
That wasn't easy.
Yeah.
God bless.
Let's get back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still proud of you, though. Okay.
It really isn't that bad, but it's okay.
Still, I know it's a dick kicker. It's a supreme dick kicker.
I was actually just did a day off, a day off, but whatever, it's fine.
So this new voice invited John to enter the craft. The being's voice was deep and authoritative, but more human and perhaps just a bit kinder than the explosive vocalizations that he'd become accustomed to. Excited to meet his counterpart and perchance finally learn the purpose of the nearly nonstop mission he'd been charged with, the man surprisingly didn't move an inch. Jean later wrote, "Despite the imperious desire to meet my space brother, I was paralyzed by intense emotions."
Oh, man.
Overwhelmed yet determined, Jean broke through this momentary paralysis and made his way toward the ladder. But when he reached out and grabbed the rail, it was not cold steel or some other rigid surface that he felt, but a warm, yielding, almost organic sensation akin to that of touching the dry, rippling skin of a snake.
Oh, gross. They
Yeah.
build their ships with snakes.
Just when you touch something, you just expect
It's
to be like inanimate, and
yeah,
it's just
like
like
touching someone's arm, and it's like, oh,
yeah, it's weird.
dude.
To his shock, he felt none of the natural repulsion that might have usually consumed him when grabbing a serpent, and continued to pull himself up into the colossal void. Again, I think I wrote it, but it's a fucking huge aperture that came out of nowhere on the side of the ship. Once inside the object, the witness realized that he'd entered a sort of antechamber that was devoid of furniture. Jean wrote, "I breathed an ozone smell, curious and peculiar, mixed with a subtle yet indefinable fragrance." End quote. He also noted that the soft floor was supple under my feet, but it was not carpeting. Stranger still, Jean noted that the bluish interior walls seemed to be undulating ever so slightly. He would later learn that the craft was a living, though not thinking, or perhaps brain-dead, organism. This makes me think of this. Do you guys remember the Mike the Headless Chicken? It was forever ago. It happened in the 1940s. But this farmer was fucking around with an axe, decapitated the chicken, but ended up leaving a big hunk of its brainstem. So it's just a throat and a little bit of a little tiny hunk of brainstem, like not a brain at all.
Okay.
And it lived for like another fucking 18 months. And it became like this fucking sideshow
my
phenomenon.
God.
And they fed it with like a water dropper, and they put like fucking food down its throat. It eventually fucking choked to death.
And he's
Because, I mean, what are you going to do? You're
what
neck.
a fitting death for
Yeah.
Mike the Headless Chicken.
Which is exactly what he was called on the road.
Jesus.
And so because part of his brainstem remained intact, he could walk around. And by the way, he currently owns the Guinness World Record for the longest living headless chicken.
Really?
I can't believe that's a
Okay.
fucking record anyone's
I mean,
going to strive
yeah.
to beat.
I like how your proposal, like, not sure if you guys remember this from the 1940s, but
I mean, I don't know if you ever saw it
chicken.
or read
no,
about it.
Never. That's
like a Ripley's Believe It or Not or some
That's
shit.
crazy.
So
Okay.
it makes me think, like, I just hope that this is like something that's alive, because I know a lot of people have proposed that UAPs, UFOs might be intelligent or animate, and maybe they have things inside them, which I guess is perfectly plausible
Right.
in a symbiotic style relationship, even though it seems weird to me. Or maybe they're just animals flying through the sky and they look
mean,
like vehicles, but they're not.
Yeah.
If we've talked about how they're summoning psychic eggs, so
Right. And we cited the gargantuan gliders, on and on, sky
could
rays.
be just organic stuff, yeah.
Lots of things could be organic, but the idea of living inside something, I just really hope they're not taking sentient things, rendering them unsentient in a Mike the Headless Chicken fashion,
right?
And then occupying their still living bodies because it, I don't know, has something that makes it easier to travel through fucking warp fucking holes or some shit. I don't fucking know. I'm shitting fucking sci-fi words now.
Like lots of Star Trek episodes that were like that.
Right.
Living ships and capturing them and using them for...
Well, there was like space whales in Doctor Who too.
That was like the first episode, really.
Like Neo Britain.
Yeah.
So yeah, the idea of these large sentient things.
Yeah, I think Star Wars, well, it's different. They stole that with the hyperspace whales or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, different.
Anyway.
They were happy.
I'm just hoping this thing is...
They're just hitching rides.
Not miserable.
They give him a test. I was like, what are you doing? They're like, I was just going to this universe. Okay. See you later.
Right. Oh my God.
What is 2 + 3?
7. Mark, you failed.
Oh my. You will not be a sentient
ship. I have no fingers to count my toes.
I mean, we might have sentient things living in us. We might be sentient ships and not even know it. Our cravings might be based on small, intelligent beings that live inside us that just need to get to a certain place.
In our gut.
To create farts?
No, like to be like fucking. You gotta go. You want a fucking candy bar? You gotta do some shit. You fucking go to the gas station, but like they needed to go there to fucking, I don't know, because that's part of their war party, and some of them are gonna shed off and like fight a battle and come back. We could be just slaves and not even know it, and it's all our cravings being dictated by these things we can't even comprehend because we're
the Speedway
idiots.
Has a war room in the back.
Exactly.
Where
it's going to be tiny.
Where our gut bacteria jumps, and there's the circle of 12 is in there.
Chris can mock, but I'm standing by. It's a possible theory.
Dude, I've been getting cravings.
They put themselves in their pizza and they spread.
I've been getting these wicked cravings for the breakfast pizza from Fast Track over near Walgreens.
That's exactly
it.
Dude,
and the thing too is they got the deal. You get the 2 slices for $5, but then you get the 2 Gatorlights for $5, and then I hit a sleeve of Zins for another 28 something. It's an expensive morning, but that pizza slaps, dude. It's all plastic.
Oh yeah,
it's all plastic.
Oh, I've had that. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Yeah,
dude, and it's thin and it's foldable. But that's why I'm there.
You took your family there for dinner multiple times.
You have. Everyone, come out!
I did it once.
Pop's taking you out.
I did it once.
Jesus Christ!
I was like, no, there's a new pizzeria.
Multiple times.
It's a Fast Track.
All right.
There's a table by the rubbers. You want to sit there?
Yeah. Jesus Christ! That is the Harriet Tubman Memorial Fast Track, and we will respect it.
Dude, they had at one point one of the best historical recountings of Harriet Tubman and everything she did in Auburn.
Oh yeah.
Before Auburn even had the Harriet Tubman center, which thank God they put it up finally. But it's like, dude, it was actually legit. Like whoever did the design and whoever put the work into it,
that's what
it was
I'm talking
great
about.
looking.
Yeah.
And now. And I have not gone over to that section of the Fast Track since I brought Nicole and Charles there once for dinner.
Right.
So we're talking we're over 10 years. I don't even know if it
long
exists anymore.
I mean,
the bathroom's over there though.
Yeah. I've never really gone over there. I've never used it.
Now
as a
I feel
restaurant.
like this is a challenge.
I mean,
for my gut bacteria.
I'm just saying.
Have a war party.
Dude, when you see something out of the corner of your eye,
now we have to investigate.
And you're like, oh man, I'm tempted by this. It could literally be your guiding forces trying to get you over there because you are a giant monster. You are a fucking Gundam. And you are going to help crush the enemy. And they're making you notice things. They're just putting things in the corner of your eye. They're just adjusting your gaze a little.
Okay.
You think you're autonomous. That's some bullshit. You can laugh all you want.
Yeah, no, dude. I want to be the Scythe Gundam, the cool one.
Well, everyone does.
Yeah, the Scythe Gundam rules.
I want to be was it Raiden? That fucking, I'm talking way back in the day, the Shogun Warriors.
Oh yeah,
not Raiden, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there might have been one.
The one with the long thing on the sides of his head looked like
not the cool horns going up top.
Well, maybe horns too.
He had the triangle, more triangle.
Yeah, more triangle.
But he did have horns.
But he did have horns. Yeah, you got to have the horns.
Yeah.
All right. We are way off base. We are talking about Mike the Headless Chicken in space.
Yes.
And
or my cravings and Zins. It's fine.
Jean continued deeper into the ship, writing, I was moving forward noiselessly. Is this funny? Is this funny to you, sir?
Just thinking about Chris is we're sitting next to the rubbers. I'm sorry. It popped in my mind. I'm just sitting at a table and there's a stack of rubbers next to him.
Pretzels, combos, rubbers.
It's true.
I'm sorry. Continue. It's my fault.
That's all right.
I'm so sorry. It's my bad.
Let's get back into
okay.
it. We're back in the living
I gotta
ship.
get over it.
All
I gotta
right?
get over it. Let my
There's
sorrow come over me. Sorrow come over
no
me.
condoms in the living ship,
There
buddy.
you go. Eternal pain. I'm living eternal pain. Okay, here we go.
Jean continued deeper into the ship. I was moving forward noiselessly when suddenly a partition slipped away with an uncanny silence. I perceived a slight regular whistling sound. The heat was comforting and the air was cleaner than outside. I don't know how you notice that. I mean, I guess unless it's real stanky air out there.
Yeah, it could be.
As I crossed the space that separated me from the partition, I walked with muffled steps into a sort of living room office, end quote.
Ooh, I like that.
It's difficult to envision what Jean meant or means by, or when he describes a living room office. But taking the statement at face value, one must assume that he went from a cold, austere, atypically alien-looking entrance into a cozy home office, which may or may not have been designed to put their human guest at ease. Or maybe it just reflects an aesthetic that simply pleased the occupants of the craft. We just don't know. Either way, the only thing that was out of place, or things, that is, in the room were the square-shaped bed covered with sheets that was wedged into the corner of the office and a ceiling which gave off brilliant illumination without the benefit of exposed light fixtures. So that's another typical UFO thing. Light everywhere, but
but there's no
source.
Yeah.
No one ever sees a fucking lamp on a UFO.
Yeah,
And I guess that just makes sense.
I mean, the bed's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Square bed in the
square
corner.
bed.
Probably
But
a king
nice
size
sheets.
bed too.
Yeah, it's a honeymoon bed.
Yeah,
Yeah, if it's square, it's got to be wide.
Slot for
Yeah.
quarters.
dude.
Mm.
Oh yeah, the fucking
Vibra-
rodeo.
Oh, the magic fingers.
Yeah, dude.
Mhm.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, love it. Suddenly, Jean claimed, a deep voice was heard from the bright ceiling. The voice spoke perfect French without an accent. It was not the voice of a machine, but that of a being with emotional warmth and varied modulation, end quote. The voice, presumably the same one that had invited Jean to enter the craft, said, "Hello, Jean the Last. Welcome aboard Jupiter."
Oh.
And isn't that the name of the Robinsons fucking ship in Lost in Space?
The Jupiter?
Was it the Jupiter?
The Jupiter 1, I think.
Maybe. Sounds kind of familiar, but
I think it was. But hey, whatever. The voice resumed with marked gentleness, adding, "Relax and lie down on the bed. Bare your left arm. We are going to fill out an essential formality. You will receive an intravenous injection that will make you immune to dangerous radiation of which we are bearers." End quote. Jean continued. This is his observation.
Jupiter 2.
Jupiter 2.
Yeah. My stupid thumbs, and then Google AI. God, it's annoying.
It happens.
I misspelled everything, and then it gave me like, these are all the disasters that happen in space. I'm like, no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want to know the Jupiter 2.
Jupiter.
What a cool shit, man. All right, sorry.
That was a dope show for the time.
I had to beat Google. It didn't work. It
Well
won.
done.
Yeah,
Well
it
done.
always does.
Bitch.
Yes. So they're the bearers of the dangerous radiation.
Yeah, good.
They got to give them a shot. In John's words, I obeyed the voice without any fear, and to my great astonishment, I saw an unheard of thing. Out of a box placed prominently on the shelf of the bed rose a hypodermic syringe filled with a pinkish liquid, end quote. Though it was clear that no one, at least no one visible, was holding the instrument, Jean marveled as the untethered syringe moved in front of his bewildered eyes. As if to greet me, he said. Then, without warning, the needle lunged toward the left arm of the unwitting patient, plunging into his swollen veins. And he mentions they were swollen, as if, I don't know, they made bigger for easier access. And that's, I guess, the thing. I know people with tiny veins, and they have a hell of a time.
They kind of slap
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, unless maybe
So it was done
assuming-
preternaturally.
or
I
maybe
guess.
there was some environmental factor causing that to
Right.
happen. I don't know, like weightlessness in space. Does that do that
I
to
mean,
you?
but are you in
I don't know.
space?
I don't think they launched
Like,
yet. I
they're
feel like they
still-
didn't
Oh,
launch
good,
yet.
good, true.
But
Maybe no.
Good to true.
there is
Oh yeah, good true.
a
Good point.
vibe that Jean has,
True.
distinctly, good and true,
Good and true.
that by stepping through the threshold of that aperture, he is in an alternate world between worlds.
Ooh.
That's a dimensional threshold.
Gotcha.
And that he crossed into it.
That's
so
why it got the puffy veins.
It popped out, and
Yeah.
it's doing all the stretching and weird shit, and that ends up being a chunky cigar sitting on a fucking mountain in Hokkaido, next to fucking 2 aerials for fucking TV stations.
We saw that same type of ship getting small and larger from Commander's Archon.
Sure did.
Interesting. It all ties together.
I mean, it happens more and more. Grush talked about kind of the same stuff.
Yeah, Grush brought that up, dude. And now you got psionics releasing eggs from the ether. I'm sorry, UAPs.
Oh, and the Soul Foundation, the SOL, Gary Nolan fame, and I think Scoffish, what a great name, the other guy that did it. They have a whole new battery of interviews and things. Some are very interesting. One with Eric Davis, the physicist who was in part of NIDS and whatever. It's interesting in that he's flat out admitting that the shit's real, but it's worth seeing all of it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Sure.
But stay on target.
Stay on target.
So he's on the Jupiter. He got the injection. I'm finding my place here. Jean went on to say, I felt no pain as the needle entered his arm. The liquid penetrated at a disconcerting speed. I felt neither well-being nor uneasiness, simply a slight smell of freshness.
Oh, a little Febreze.
Little Febreze injection.
Plunged in your arm.
It was then that Jean's, quote, bewilderment exceeded the bounds of comprehension, end quote, when into the home office walked 3 humongous humanoids, whose heights ranged from 8 to nearly 10 feet tall, all clad in robes of brilliant hues. The mesmerized observer noted that these masculine figures, quote, all looked like the sons of man with a beautiful aesthetic, end quote, though their perfect bodies seemed to be covered in a sticky sheen.
Oh, they're slimy.
Well, sticky's not slimy.
I mean, well, it has like a gloss to it. Yeah, so I'm thinking slimy. Like it's covered in like a wet, like a.
It could be tacky.
Yeah, just like a moist.
Like when slime dries and it becomes a little more.
Yeah, it's gross. That's it. Noise. Yeah, it's gross.
That's the sound.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Don't hold.
But they are gorgeous.
Still.
I mean, Sons of Man.
Sons of Man.
Sons of Man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oof.
The enthralled and freshly injected contactee continued. The first figure was dressed in blue, and the second in red, and the third in green. They advanced toward the bed where I thought I was dreaming. These 3 giants with the bodies of men were looking at me with a happy and trusting look, perhaps slightly mocking. Gotta have that little condescension in there. That was the same thing that was happening to fucking Edmonds when the Galactic Council or the Super Federation or whatever the fuck it was, where they were kind of bemused by his ignorance.
Like the Octurians or whatever showed
Something
up.
like that, yeah.
We have swords, and one of us will go crazy in an asylum and need to go into hiding with our family.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
We are the Centurions until we're not.
No, that mega cut is available at Patreon for free for all of y'all.
Merry Christmas.
It's about 9 hours long.
Wow.
Yeah. Fucking lock in, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun ride.
Get ready.
Okay. All right. We were definitely having a hard time staying on the road today, but that's okay.
It's okay. We're here. We're doing it.
The first 2 of these individuals that are 9 feet fucking tall were blonde. The last one, a brunette. Their eyes an indefinable blue from which luminous sparks escaped at regular intervals.
Kind of cool.
So what's that? Where have we seen this before? We've seen it in definitely superhero movies. Thor, when he went like all cosmic energy Thor.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Heimdall or whatever, I think, does that, doesn't he?
Something.
Does he have like weird, like
I don't
white
know.
electric eyes or something?
Oh, he might.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. I definitely remember Thor doing it. I know I've seen it as like an optical effects, like probably Horace Pinker again.
Weird.
Talking about Shocker more than I ever thought I would.
I mean, just because you got like zapped, maybe.
Mitch Pileggi, come on.
Yeah. Oh, Mitch Pileggi.
Mitchy P.
There you go.
Yeah, the franchise that never happened, and thank God that never needed a sequel.
No.
Never, ever, ever.
Electric eyes, Robert.
All right, electric eye. I know, even I'm fucking escaping.
Yeah,
it.
come on,
right,
baby.
Stranger still, these magnificent creatures all bore what looked like halos. The 2 clad in red and green had their heads bathed in, quote, a diffused light of an unreal golden yellow color. While the man in blue, who appeared to be the leader of the group, quote, presented a luminous halo around his head bearing the 7 colors of the rainbow. So 2 like simple golden traditional halos fucking Johnny Rainbow with the blue robes. Fucking
Okay.
stand out in the crowd.
Yeah, like the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Hell yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Sure.
There you go.
Though it is difficult to be sure, it seems as if Jean described the three giants as having very different, though vividly phosphorescent, skin tones, with one being green, the other yellow, and the last purple. Though which hues belonged to which man was not clarified. However, the individual in red was also wearing a veil that covered the back of his hair, which, at least in description, resembles a crimson nun's habit.
Okay.
So red guy's got some headgear. Considering the significance of this life-changing experience and how heavily it must have weighed on his psyche, if not his soul, it should come as no surprise that Jean's initial enchantment swiftly devolved into abject terror. Quote, despite the immense confidence that united me to this familiar beyond, which was suddenly arising in my present life, so he's referring to this whole space as a familiar beyond, I was seized with a trembling nervousness that degenerated into panic. The appearance of those luminous beings whose eyes were lightning wrung a cry from me. My heart beat to the point of breaking up. End quote. Seeming to intuitively understand what was going on, the man with the rainbow halo, clad in the blue robes, leaned toward the now cowering human, and two of the sparks emanating from his eyes leapt out, with one striking Jean in the chest and the other hitting his head. John remarked of the experience, I was petrified. Then I felt a slight tingling that immediately continued across my spine. This sensation lasted less than a minute, and immediately after, I resumed a rhythm of normal heart rate. All fear vanished and gave way to absolute confidence. I was reborn, and I felt a new and unknown force which had revitalized my heart. End quote. So the sparks just, it's like the Greys have the mesmer. This guy just leans in, like cries a few fucking, I don't know.
He just eye zaps you into
confidence.
Yeah.
Which would be, again, I say that'd be great.
Yeah, I would love that. That'd be great, dude.
Like, why take a pill? Why fucking drink a drink? Just fucking.
No, man. Yeah, just
like,
hit me with some of
hey,
that
dude.
eye. Give me some of that eye confidence, buddy. Come on.
Oh, man.
God damn. You're a new man.
Yeah.
It was then that the chief entity bowed in a Japanese fashion, that's Jean's description,
Okay.
and said, Lord Jean, welcome among us. Yahweh greets you through me. My name is Jean Irving Ludwig.
Oh, is he the brother?
That's
Dude,
his brother. That's his space
is it
brother.
his brother?
You know, Ludwig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The old,
I did it like, I didn't know either. It could be Ludwig, but I definitely went with the Beethoven.
It's funny. That's why.
Ludwig is funny.
Yeah, right.
Huh.
And he continues, I've already told you about transcendence. Now you can see me. So it's like, dude, you're a lord. So he's bowing. Welcome you. Yahweh says howdy. And I'm fucking Jean Irving Ludwig.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey. The ethereal being then directed his gaze toward his yellow haloed cohorts, introducing them. The blonde man in the red habit is Jesus. He is my second assistant.
Okay. Oh, Jesus is an assistant.
The brown-haired man in the green coat is Moses, my first assistant.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay. Oh, Chris is concerned.
Both-
All right. Here we go.
Both of them bowed to me, saying, Lord. Jean was overcome. No longer afraid, he was simply overwhelmed by the fact that these angelic entities would address him as Lord. Little could he have imagined that the hellish road he'd been forced to endure for 3 long years, a road fraught with so much frustration, fear, pain, loss, and humiliation, would lead him here, to this moment of perfect bliss in a world between worlds with demigods who treated him as their equal. Jean, more than most perhaps, deserved this brief respite from the endless agony that had become his life. But little could he have suspected, even considering the many dark metaphysical realities he'd already been exposed to, that this world was once again about to be turned inside out with even more revelations about the ugly yet all too true nature of reality. But there would be one stark relief from the madness-inducing underbelly of the multiverse, and that was that God had a plan in place to annihilate everything in creation.
Again?
And it turns out that he had chosen John to be his instrument of destruction.
Dude, Archangel Sean? Holy shit.
But if you want to know more about that, you're going to have to tune in next week at the same crypto time and the same crypto channel.
Oh, dude, shit. There, the God Possession Part 1, A Dark Journey. Wow, the end really took a turn. Look at Chris. Look at his face. Like,
no, the last
he's painful,
5 minutes,
man.
I'm
He's
like,
painful.
how the fuck?
Yes! Here it comes. Here it comes.
Yes.
No, just like, and like, how is Ludwig
great.
higher than Jesus on the fucking tier?
Well, isn't Ludwig like the god, the top god of gods?
No.
Like,
No, he is.
No, Yahweh is, because
Yahweh
Yahweh's
is
speaking through him.
And Yahweh was
So,
ostensibly the one in control of him all the
so
time.
maybe he was around before Jesus, though, in the hierarchy.
I mean, just because, Moses was on earth and Jesus was on earth.
Yeah.
But John Irving might have been up fucking like doing some,
a lot of it too.
Cataloging.
I mean, this could be, if this is a union shop, you could just be dealing with, like seniority. you know?
Sure.
He's like, look, I'm the head guy here. Okay, here's my, I just knocked the recorder over. Here's my assistant, which is hilarious.
It is so funny. This is Jesus
It's
in the red
this is
habit over
Jesus.
here. He's my second assistant.
The blonde guy is
Hey,
Jesus.
the guy in the green coat, Moses,
dude.
first assistant. He's my go-to guy.
Man.
It's almost like a Hollywood producer talking about like their fucking assistant.
Blonde Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird, dude. This is interesting. All right. Well,
This is crazy. And I
there's
love it.
a lot. This is good. There's a lot there, dude. Whoa. All right. Well, you know what? We're not going to speculate too much here, just because we can't yet, because this is only the part 1. The only thing I did want to throw out there, and obviously I think that we're all thinking this, is obviously from what Jean is experiencing here, could be some sort of possible like mental break.
How dare you?
Onset of something like psychosis or something.
If you can't hear prophetic truth when you fucking know it, or know it when you hear
at
it.
first.
Yes.
Yeah. Still, but I was just like,
until you get to the part where he meets Jesus. But then again, like I've known people that have whatever sort of mental illness, and they get into
100%. You're right.
And a lot of them get into this weird God type thing, which makes sense, because if you're hearing voices, you're going to assume that it's God. But all of that aside,
they can get monomaniacal about stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Regardless, dude, he finds the living ship. He comes to Yahweh, the Creator, and then his assistants.
Sure.
And it's like, dude,
more than most people.
Oh boy.
This could be like somebody who had a severe psychotic break, or I guess perhaps really late onset schizophrenia. I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm not going to pretend I'm diagnosing. He could have had a really troubled time and then firmly fell into the belief. And who knows if he had like a profound drug problem as a rich guy managing cars and fucking,
cocaine
France.
psychosis, dude.
I don't know. We don't know. And there's no way we can know. But it's still, one of the more fascinating odysseys. So yeah, just like, diabetes and the devil, you cannot take mental illness off of it. Especially in this case, off of it. But it's so in depth, and it's so.
This is like
mixing the theological with the interdimensional with the ufological.
That kind of plays into what's happening today with the whole NHIs. Like they're going towards like, no, this has been here all along.
I think that's what intrigued me.
It is some sort of godlike being that's apparently like just not really concerned with us.
Sure,
that kind of like just is just there,
or that. Even though I'm loath to subscribe to that specifically, though I'll accept whatever I guess the facts are, but that is just waiting for us to graduate to the point where we can recognize it so we can move on to that next series of tests or whatever the fuck it does.
God, that's just so irritating.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, Jesus.
That's what divine things are.
It's going to be 50-25 by the time we're there. Like, all right, did we make it yet?
Well, if we're all aware of it, then that means at least the process starts.
True. That is true. All right, well, you know what? There it is. Join us next week, Cryptonaut Podcast.
Damn.
That's a lot, dude.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's more than a lot.
It gets a little crazy
but now
next
I know.
time.
Okay, all right. Well,
the conversation continues.
Part 2.
More characters are introduced.
I'm really
This
interested.
really feels like an anime now.
It really does.
Really,
for sure.
100%.
The robes,
the sparkling eyes.
Like I love their interpretations of religions. Like they don't hold anything. Just anything is on the table.
On the table, completely. Yeah. I love that too. Hail Japan.
Yeah, Patreon, buddy. Patreon.com/Cryptonaut
yes.
Podcast. $10 tier. You can watch us do the podcast video.
Right.
We got the video there. It's so
Sure
you can
can.
watch us do it. You get your ad-free episodes, plus you get your bonus episodes.
Mm-hmm.
The $1 tier, the
Tons of
$5
videos.
tier, and the $10 tier all just got a pod last week where we talked about the psionics in the egg with from Ross Colhart.
Yeah, that was interesting.
So there's so much bonus content over there. And again, check that out, patreon.com/Cryptonaut podcast. Robert, let's thank the good folks.
Dan Capagna.
Thank
I
you,
think.
Dan Capagna.
If I said it wrong, Dan, let us know. And I'll
Yeah,
hear
the digit might be silent.
Capona? Capona?
Capona?
It could be.
Capona.
A fellow Italian, possibly.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I might have. I feel like I mean, if your name is Capagna, then I apologize for saying this, but like that can't possibly be your fucking name.
No,
I mean,
it's probably Caponia. Like
Caponia?
Caponia.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah, Caponia.
Ponya.
Yeah.
But it's the G before. Ah, fuck it. You know what? Capagna, and it stands until you tell me it's
Capagna.
wrong.
Or Caponia, whatever.
Caponia,
You know what, Dan? We appreciate it. Thank
You
you.
got a lot of shout outs, Dan.
Hell yeah, Dan.
Red Star Arts and Oddities.
Awesome. Check them out on Instagram, actually. I believe I follow them.
Yeah,
And if I don't, you should follow them, but I'm pretty sure I do.
I'd love
Oh,
to check
okay.
it
There
out.
you go. Check it out.
Tubby Nuts.
Oh, my boy Tubby Nuts is back.
One word, Z.
Yeah,
Love it.
a return. Thank you, Tubby Nuts. We appreciate it.
Sugar-free origami.
Oh,
Is this a return?
I
don't remember
I don't
it.
think
Okay.
so.
It sounds familiar to me.
Could be. I don't know. Regardless,
Again,
thank you
all one word and
for your
awesome.
support. We appreciate it.
Last, never least, to Patrick Garrity.
Thank you, Patrick. We appreciate the support over there. Again, patreon.com/
Or possibly Gaherty.
podcast, bonus audio, bonus videos.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Lots of bonus videos.
Can't do it without you.
Dude.
Oh my God, you're the life's blood of this pod.
And you can get the free trial. A ton of people recently signed up for the free trial. I was like, yeah, do it, because you got 7 days to
Why
check
not?
everything out, man.
Sure,
Jump
get a
on there,
taste.
check it out, see if you like it. And
There are
there's
tons of things to look
so
at.
much stuff put up there all the time. Also, too, when you join Patreon, you get the option to join our Discord server. You can link your tier in there. It's very easy. I can send you the link if you need to. Shout outs to the Discord mods over there. Hackety,
yeah.
literally Jesus, Bone Daddy. This past weekend, we had a trivia night. The Hackety ran.
That's right.
And it was really fun. It was super cool. A bunch of people won some stuff.
Yeah, I was
It
so
was
sorry to miss it.
Super good time. Had a blast. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
And I did pretty good.
Did
I
you
did
really?
pretty good. I
Really?
did a couple of the dumb ones I missed. I'm like, I'm an idiot, but I did pretty decent.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think I came in second, maybe.
What?
Yeah, some of the stuff I missed, I was
Hey,
like,
what'd you win?
how did I? Yeah, I won some merch. It's going to be a write off within a write off within a write off. There
Nice.
you go.
Meta merch.
Yes, the Instas, the Twitters, the Facebooks, the Instas. We're there. We're doing it. TikToks. Oh God, make it
Oh, yeah.
happen. Just follow us, DM us, check our stuff out, like, comment, share,
Please
whatever
do.
you want to do. Do it there, and again, following with our corporate take on Cenobites this Wednesday and Thursday, the 5th and the 6th of February, in theaters. Hellraiser 4K.
Yeah.
Shit.
Go there, check it out. We're super.
Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of cool that they asked us to advertise for them. Like, hey, you guys are a podcast. You guys want to talk about it real quick? I'm like, yeah, it's Hellraiser.
Yeah, what do you,
fucking
why,
Hellraiser.
what do you
It's
mean?
back in the theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love it.
dude, it's awesome, dude.
I mean,
And-
it is the best.
oh yeah,
And Hellbound's really good too. Falls apart at the end, but it's an excellent sequel.
part 2.
Yeah.
Dude, with Chenard? I
Yeah.
love Chenard.
It just a smidge at the end falls apart. To
What
me.
part? What happened at the
When
end?
fucking he decimates all the other
yeah, no, you
It's
know what?
It's just sad.
You're right.
That's
Because
unacceptable.
I was like, man, then the dude turns into a kid. You're like, he was a child when he was
Yeah.
turned into a Cenobite.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bummer,
We just
dude.
gave away everything.
Wait, dude, if you
Ruined Hellbound for you.
you know what?
Granted, you've had almost 40 years to watch it.
No, yeah.
Listen, after you go on the 5th and you watch Hellraiser 4K, and then you go on the 6th and you bring your mom to watch Hellraiser 4K, you go home with Meemaw and Peepaw and everybody else, and
continue
you
the story.
watch Hellbound, and then you keep going
No, you don't.
until
You stop right there.
no, part 4 is worth checking out.
Is
in
it?
space
I
for
never
sure.
really saw
Gives
that
you the
one.
It's
backstory.
not bad, actually.
It's the backstory
I
of
remember.
Pinhead, and it's really good.
Okay, I'll take
Like, it should be bad, but
both your
I
words
think
for
maybe
it.
because I expected it to be
The
so
newer
horrible,
one
and it wasn't.
with the female Pinhead was really good too. That one was like weird and creepy.
Yeah,
and
we
listen-
started watching
The
it,
Hulu
but then you
one,
had to
yeah.
leave.
yeah,
I
it was
had to
actually
split,
it was
yeah.
really
Yeah.
good. Yeah, they had a lot of
It
cool
looked
things
good.
in
It,
it.
it seemed
It's-
like it was
it's-
getting into like the creepiness of the body
It's pretty
horror.
scummy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
scum. Dude, speaking of body horror, I was talking to you guys about this, but the substance. Hoo-hoo,
Yeah.
boy. Yeah,
Ixbill.
that's a lot.
Is it like a serious version of Society? Do you remember that old Empire Pictures one?
No.
Where everyone melted together? Good. I'm glad because I never
No.
liked that fucking movie.
You would really like this though.
I do love
for
body
sure,
horror.
dude.
Always have.
It has the end is just wowzers.
I am excited.
It's great. We got the merch over there at tpublicheatherspace.com. Get yourself those t-shirts. We are working on a t-shirt now.
We are.
Oh,
Getting close.
the winner of the trivia won a t-shirt. And guess what t-shirt they want to win?
What do they want to
The
win?
one that we're working on right now.
that's
So they're on
awesome.
hold. Their prize is
all right.
on hold.
I mean,
Yeah, I was like,
Fair enough.
all right, cool, man, whatever, dope.
That is
hey,
awesome.
they were like, no, I wanted that shirt forever. I can't wait to see it. I want it as my prize. So I was
Sight
like, yeah,
unseen, all
Yeah.
the better.
dude, they
That's
were
good on you, whoever
super
you
stoked,
are.
dude.
Thank you.
yeah.
super
Well
stoked.
played.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So you can check all that out there. And again, all that's linked in the description of this podcast. Very easy. Click, 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 go there. And there it is. Thank you all so very much. And we'll be talking with you soon.
Heck yeah, we will.
Peace
We
in.
will.
Peace out.
Yeah.
Peace out.
How many times did you recite that spell I sent you yesterday?
Twice.
Did you do it twice?
Yeah. I know. What was the story behind it? As soon as you sent it, I read it out loud.
We should talk about the spell on Patreon.
Okay.
Why'd you send him a spell?
Yeah, I had a spell.
I did
there,
it.
there was more to the spell.
I have to say, I even emphasized the capitalized words.
Yeah, there was.
I really tried to do
yeah,
it right.
There was more to the spell.
Yeah.
We were. It's just,
It was desperate times
it
and
was
desperate measures.
And I was getting all of the psychic power that I could to push towards Kansas City, and it didn't.
Oh,
really,
I should have known it.
Yeah,
Okay.
no,
Of course,
it was-
no, it's football spell.
You tried to
But it
cast
was
a
not a
spell.
football spell.
No,
It
sports.
was a whole thing. No,
That's
it
why
was
I
just
failed.
No, he tried to get me to cast
Well,
a
no,
spell.
it's just it's a lot of
That's
taking
even-
all the bad juju out of this, putting all the good stuff there, and being like, here's the positives, here's the negatives. Let's all remember where we stand, and let's just do it. Okay.
All right,
And
that
we-
makes sense.
We just pushed it out there. That's all we had to do.
Well,
That's it.
I'm excited to know the
Some-
entomology behind
Were you
it.
wearing the hat?
Yes, of course.
Okay. All right. Good.
At first, I didn't get the reference. Now I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I broke it down to the boys at work, and they were like, "You've got a problem." I was
Sure.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
you listen to my podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like my spell must have worked because they lost.
Wow, what a dick.
No, what Chris doesn't know though is he's actually a part of the greater scheme.
What you don't know is you're actually a part of my scheme. That's greater than your great scheme.
My greater sports scheme is that our balance works because Chris roots against us. If he was to root with us, it might tip worse in our favor. So
I actually
he's the
I'm
balance.
I didn't root for anybody.
I say he's
just
the
watched
balance.
game.
He is our balance.
And everything we do is because the fucking little warriors inside of us command
yes,
us
bitch. There it is.
to. So none of it even
There it
matters.
is. I love it. We'll be talking to you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Peace out. Go Bills.
Shutting it off.